Nobody was prepared for this gender reveal to hit harder than a diss track at midnight. Blueface and Nevaeh announced they're having a baby boy, confetti flies, captions glow, timelines explode, and just when you think the drama might take a polite nap, Karlissa enters the chat. And let's just say, the energy shifted instantly, because this wasn't a quiet congrats comment with heart emojis. Who know? This felt like the beginning of a reality show reunion episode nobody scheduled, but everybody tuned in for. The baby news alone was enough to stir the pot, but Karlissa's reaction, that's what turned this into a full-blown headline hurricane. The internet froze, screenshots started circulating. Group chats lit up like Christmas trees. People weren't just asking it's a boy, they were asking, did you see what she said? Because when family dynamics mix with public announcements, subtlety packs its bags and leaves the building. Was it supportive? Was it shade? Was it strategic silence dressed up as calm? If you thought this was just a sweet gender reveal, think again. Because what unfolded next makes regular celebrity drama look like a slow Tuesday. And trust me, this story escalates fast. The announcement itself was loud enough to trend. Blueface and Nevaeh revealing they're having a baby boy sent the internet into celebration mode, speculation mode, and conspiracy mode all at once. Blue balloons, glowing captions, emotional music, the whole production. And for a split second, it almost felt wholesome. Almost, because whenever Blueface's name hits the timeline, calm never lasts long. His personal life has been a revolving door of headlines, reactions, reconciliations, and explosive commentary. Add a baby announcement into that mix, and suddenly it's not just family news. It's a public event with front row seats for millions. The reveal dropped like a mic. It's a boy, simple words, massive ripple effect. Supporters flooded the comments with congratulations, heart emojis, fire emojis, future legend predictions. But even while the confetti was still metaphorically falling, people were already asking one question: what does Karlissa think? Because let's be honest, Karlissa reacting to Blueface news is practically its own genre at this point. The dynamic between them has never been subtle. It's layered, emotional, sometimes supportive, sometimes side-eye heavy, and when major life events happen, audiences instinctively wait for her response like it's the after-credits scene. And then it happened. Karlissa reacted. Not with a bland, PR safe, so happy for you. Not with silence either. The tone, intense. The vibe, measured but loaded. The kind of response that makes you reread it twice to check for hidden meanings. And that's when the internet collectively leaned forward in their chairs, because tone matters, timing matters, context matters even more. This wasn't just any baby announcement. It involved a web of public relationships, past drama, ongoing tensions, and audience investment that rivaled scripted television. So when Karlissa responded, people didn't just read the words. They read between them. Some fans immediately interpreted her reaction as supportive. They argued that growth was happening, that maturity was winning, that family was choosing peace over chaos. She handled that well. One commenter posted confidently, others weren't convinced. Critics suggested the energy felt layered. That wasn't just congratulations. Someone wrote, there's history there, and history is the gasoline in every online debate. Because when you witness years of back and forth, you don't take any reaction at face value. Memes started forming within minutes. Dramatic zoom-ins of her comment, screenshots highlighted and circled like evidence in a courtroom slideshow. TikTok stitches popped up analyzing punctuation like it was encrypted messaging. Was that emphasis intentional? Was that phrasing subtle shade? It didn't take long for the gender reveal to become secondary to the reaction itself. And that's where the real tension began to build. Blueface and Nevaeh's baby news should have been the headline. But the storyline twisted quickly. Now, it wasn't just they're having a boy, it became, how does Karlissa feel about it? That shift says everything about how layered these public relationships are. In ordinary families, news travels privately, reactions happen behind closed doors. But in celebrity life, it plays out like episodic drama, complete with audience commentary and real-time analysis. Supporters of Karlissa argued that she has every right to express emotion, that family dynamics aren't simple, that being publicly connected to ongoing drama doesn't erase human reaction. They framed her intensity as authenticity. Skeptics suggested the intensity hinted at unresolved tension, not necessarily negativity, but complexity. And complexity online is treated like a puzzle begging to be solved. Meanwhile, Blueface and Nevaeh's announcement continued circulating independently. Fans debated baby names before one was even officially shared, predictions about future personality. Traits flew around like they were writing horoscopes for someone who hasn't arrived yet, but the undercurrent remained focused on Karlissa. Her response became the magnifying glass through which the announcement was viewed. Every follow-up post, every like, every silence afterward was analyzed like stock market movement. This is the strange ecosystem of modern celebrity families. Milestones don't just belong to the individuals involved, they belong to the narrative. And the narrative, once public, invites commentary from everyone. The intensity of Karlissa's reaction, whether emotional, supportive, guarded, or layered, amplified the moment beyond celebration. It added tension, it added history, it added stakes. And let's be clear, intensity doesn't automatically mean negativity, but online intensity equals engagement. Engagement equals trending. And trending equals spectacle. The reveal wasn't messy on its own. It was joyful. It was big news. But joy in a complicated family dynamic always comes with subtext, and subtext is where audiences thrived. By the time the first 24 hours passed, the story had already split into multiple conversations. One thread celebrated the baby boy, another dissected Karlissa's reaction, a third speculated about how this shifts existing relationships moving forward. It became less about balloons and more about balance. Less about blue confetti and more about emotional undercurrents, because whenever new life enters a situation already layered with public drama, people don't just clap. They calculate, they ask what it means, who it affects, what changes next. And as the comment sections continued to light up, one thing became undeniable. This wasn't just a gender reveal. It was a storyline pivot. And if this was only the first wave of reactions, the second wave was guaranteed to hit even harder. Because when family dynamics unfold in public, the calm never lasts long. The bell had rung. If the first 24 hours were intense, the next 48 turned into a full-blown social media spectacle that felt less like a family announcement and more like a season finale cliffhanger. Because once Karlissa's reaction started circulating on its own, it stopped being a footnote and became the headline. Reaction channels went into overdrive. Thumbnails screamed things like, "This changes everything," and "Did you catch that?" Clips were replayed, slowed down, zoomed in. Her tone was analyzed like a courtroom deposition. The internet wasn't just watching, it was decoding. And then came the memes. Someone edited dramatic reality show music under screenshots of her comment. Another created a split screen comparing her reaction to iconic calm but calculating pop culture moments. It was exaggerated, it was theatrical, and it was spreading faster than the original gender reveal. Meanwhile, supporters of Blueface and Nevaeh tried to pull the focus back to the baby news. Why can't this just be about the child? They asked. Fair question, but in a family dynamic that's been publicly complicated, nothing stays that simple for long. Some fans interpreted Karlissa's intensity as protective energy, the kind that says, "I'm watching closely." Others felt it carried a hint of tension, not explosive, but present. The ambiguity was the real spark, because when something isn't crystal clear, the internet fills in the blanks, and the blanks were being filled aggressively. TikTok commentaries compared the situation to reality TV matriarchs reacting to plot twists. One creator said it felt like the reunion episode energy had leaked into real life. Another joked that this makes scripted family dramas look underwritten. Even casual observers who don't usually follow every twist suddenly had opinions. Group chats lit up. Did you see her response? Became the new icebreaker. It wasn't just a baby boy announcement anymore. It was a shift in the dynamic. Speculation ramped up quickly. Some viewers predicted this news would recalibrate family alliances. Others suggested it could create new tensions. Nobody had evidence. But evidence isn't required when narrative imagination takes over. And let's talk about that imagination. In 2026, audiences don't just consume celebrity updates, they storyboard them. They forecast future interactions. They anticipate emotional reactions before they happen. So when Karlissa reacted intensely, it wasn't seen as a single moment. It was interpreted as foreshadowing. Podcasts jumped in next. One host suggested the reaction felt layered with history. Another argued that it demonstrated maturity and restraint. The debate wasn't about whether she reacted. It was about what the reaction meant. And meaning is subjective fuel. Supporters framed her response as composed but passionate. Critics framed it as subtly loaded. Both sides believed they were reading the situation accurately. The truth likely sits somewhere less dramatic, but that doesn't trend. What amplified everything was timing. The gender reveal itself was already a high-emotion event. Add a family figure with a known history of speaking her mind, and you have a recipe for online fireworks. The memes didn't slow down either. Someone created a mock family tree update graphic like this was a breaking sports trade. Another joked that the baby boy announcement felt like a plot twist nobody saw coming. Even though pregnancy announcements usually hint at this exact outcome, humor mixed with tension. Celebration mixed with speculation. And the louder it got, the harder it was to separate joy from drama. Through it all, Blueface and Nevaeh remained focused on the baby news. But the internet, it kept pivoting back to Karlissa's tone, her phrasing, her timing. Every detail was scrutinized like a chess move. The fascinating part is how quickly the narrative overshadowed the milestone. Instead of sustained celebration, the energy shifted toward analysis. That says more about the audience than the individuals involved. Because audiences crave friction. They lean into unresolved energy. They anticipate sparks even when none are visibly flying. And that anticipation created its own momentum. By the end of the week, the storyline had split into camps. Team, it's supportive. Team, it's complicated. Team, we're overthinking this. And somehow, all three groups were trending at the same time. What began as a simple gender reveal had transformed into a layered public moment involving family dynamics, history, and perception. Not because of any dramatic confrontation, but because intensity alone is enough to ignite speculation. And here's the twist that kept everything simmering. Karlissa didn't escalate further. No dramatic follow-up. No clarifying livestream. No additional commentary to either calm or inflame the situation. That silence, it was louder than any statement could have been. Because when the internet expects fireworks and gets composure instead, it starts analyzing the composure itself. Was it restraint? Was it strategy? Was it growth? Nobody could agree. But everyone kept watching, and if the second wave revealed anything, it's this. The intensity wasn't in the words alone. It was in the history surrounding them, which means the real impact wasn't immediate. It was brewing. And as the online dust began to settle, one question lingered in the air like unfinished dialogue. What happens next? Because when family dynamics play out in public, today's reaction becomes tomorrow's storyline. And the audience, as the noise settled, the volume dropped, but the tension didn't disappear. It just changed shape. The memes slowed down, the reaction videos found new targets, and the trending tab refreshed itself like nothing happened. But underneath that surface calm, perception had already been rewritten. And perception is louder than any viral clip. Karlissa's reaction didn't explode into a public war, and that's what made it powerful. There were no dramatic live sessions, no messy callouts, no digital fireworks. Instead, there was restraint, mixed with intensity. And sometimes that combination hits harder than shouting ever could. People began replaying the moment not for drama, but for meaning. Tone became the headline. Phrasing became the evidence, timing became the theory. It was like watching the internet build a puzzle out of a single facial expression. Supporters insisted her reaction showed emotional investment and authenticity. They framed it as a motherly, protective energy, the kind that doesn't need to be loud to be real. To them, intensity equals care, and care doesn't always smile politely. Critics, however, saw layers beneath the surface. They believe that when history exists, no reaction is neutral. Even congratulations can carry context. Even calm words can sit on top of unresolved tension. The baby boy announcement remained joyful, but it no longer existed in isolation. It carried the weight of family history, past conflicts, and public commentary, and that weight transformed celebration into narrative fuel. Because in celebrity culture, milestones don't stand alone. They connect to everything before them. Blueface and Nevaeh continued sharing excitement, keeping the focus on their growing family. But every post about the baby seemed to attract comments referencing Karlissa's earlier reaction. It became the shadow under the spotlight, not overpowering, but present. What's fascinating is that nothing actually happened afterward. No fallout, no visible rupture, no dramatic confrontation. And yet, the moment still mattered because of how it shifted perception. Reputation-wise, Karlissa didn't crumble. If anything, her visibility increased. Her name trended alongside the announcement, embedding her reaction into the storyline permanently. In the attention economy, even intensity is currency. For some viewers, this moment signaled growth. They believed it showed maturity, emotion without chaos. For others, it hinted that complexity still exists beneath the surface. The divide wasn't about facts, it was about interpretation. And interpretation is where the internet thrives. Family dynamics are complicated in private. In public, they become theater. Every interaction is magnified, every pause is analyzed, even silence gets dissected like it's hiding a secret. The real impact of this moment isn't in what was said. It's in what people believe it meant. That belief will follow future updates. When the baby boy arrives, people will remember this reaction. When new milestones unfold, this clip will resurface. That's how digital memory works. It doesn't forget tone. The audience is now watching for shifts. Will relationships soften? Will tension resurface? Will unity dominate? Nobody knows. But anticipation has already been planted, and anticipation drives engagement. This situation proved that intensity doesn't need explosion to trend. It doesn't require insults or arguments. Sometimes a measured but emotional response creates more speculation than a full-blown feud. The baby boy reveal could have been a standalone happy moment. Instead, it became a chapter in a longer story, not because of conflict, but because of context. Context is everything in celebrity life. Every headline connects to the last one. Every reaction builds on prior narratives, and audiences never approach new information with a blank slate. By the time the dust fully settled, the biggest takeaway wasn't scandal, it was complexity. This family dynamic isn't simple, and it never has been. Joy and tension can coexist. Celebration and history can overlap. That overlap is what keeps people invested. Karlissa's reaction didn't end anything. It didn't start a war. It didn't derail the celebration. But it reminded viewers that even happy news carries emotional layers when relationships are public. And those layers don't disappear overnight. The internet has already moved on to the next trending topic. But when the baby boy is born, when new updates drop, when the family posts future milestones, this moment will resurface like a bookmarked page. Because once a reaction becomes part of the narrative, it stays there. The arena lights haven't turned off, they've simply dimmed, waiting for the next announcement. And when that announcement arrives, the audience will remember this intensity. Not as scandal, not as chaos, but as a reminder that in public family stories, nothing is ever just a single event. It's always connected, always layered. So now I'm passing the mic to you. Was Karlissa's reaction genuinely supportive but emotional? Or was that intensity telling a deeper story we haven't fully unpacked yet? Because let's be honest, in this family dynamic, nothing ever feels surface level. Every word, every pause, every tone shift gets analyzed like it's a championship replay. Drop your real thoughts in the comments. Not the polite ones, not that it's just a baby announcement takes. I'm talking honest opinions. Was it growth? Was it tension? Or are we all just addicted to decoding energy that might not even be that deep? If you enjoy these breakdowns, where we peel back the layers of celebrity drama, family twists, and internet overreactions, go ahead and smash that like button like it owes you money. Subscribe so you don't miss the next headline shockwave. Because trust me, when this baby boy arrives, the timeline is going to light up all over again. Around here, the drama doesn't rest. It reloads. Stay locked in, stay watching, and remember, in this world, even a gender reveal can turn into a plot twist. This is Celeb Sync, and the story is never really over.